So I'm sure you're all aware of that piece of documentation there. The Dompass was in use for about 200 years in South Africa, and it controlled people's ability to access space and people's ability to bring people into space. It's a very important document for me, and even if I didn't grow up in South Africa, it means something quite significant for me because I still feel the consequences of the Dompass despite it being gone. And it was based loosely on people's ethnicities, race, color, skin tone, hair texture, all these kinds of superficial human aesthetics. But it had really, really profound psychological, physical, emotional consequences. And in the late 1980s, it was eventually abolished as a piece of legal documentation, and eventually South Africa got its independence. And for the most part, we then think then it's fine to say we're progressing, we're moving forward, things are changing, things are getting better, and officially they are, but I'm here to speak on the horcruxes of the Dompass. And what that means is, as much as a piece of paper is gone, people who look like me still live as that thing. And part of that is, the reason I'm giving this talk here today is because every time I speak at PechaKucha, the room doesn't look like South Africa. The room looks like Cape Town. And that brings us to the baggage that we all have. You know, many of us who weren't part of that problem, but we live with the consequences of what happened in this country, on this continent, and in this world. And I think it's important that we acknowledge such things, such pain. And I'm going to give a few different examples of how I still exist as a Dompass. So my name is Tapiwa, but my first name is Delroy. Many black people have English names, religious names. My surname is Guzha. You may know a September, an April, or December, or January, named because they were bought by people or sold by people. And then I'm a somewhat educated person, but educated in the Western context. So I have my PhD, and that's really impressive. But my knowledge system for my people is undervalued. And that's another barrier to me being able to access space. That's another Dompass, because I'm not from within the Western school system. My own knowledge system is not as valuable. Then I don't know if you know what Mulungu means. It typically means white person, but it also means boss or superior. So I have employees, and sometimes I'm called Mulungu, and that speaks to how even my title is in reversion to whiteness and to European centricity. And then if we look at expats and immigrants, I can guess that when you think of an expat, you think of a European, and an immigrant is an African. And the different implications of what it means as a black person to access this country being an immigrant. Right? And I also ride a motorcycle. I don't know if somebody saw my bike outside. Most people think I'm a delivery guy. And that speaks to what we expect, the kind of clothing that people wear. Like if you think of your domestic helper, the kind of clothing that allows them access into your neighborhoods. But if they come with their own clothing, they're not available that privilege of being in that space. And being in that space is not only like the nice wine lands and real estate, but it's also just showing up in public spaces, getting cops called on you because you're existing as a black person in a park. This is a daily occurrence across this country. All right. Try get a lease in Cape Town black. Try with a name like Tabo or Nkosanata or Tomelang, whatever. Try get a lease in Cape Town. And then you learn what it means to have a Dompass, being your very being. So many of us struggle to get Airbnb reservations and all these other things. So PechaKucha is all about inspiration. I'm not here to tell you an inspirational story. I'm here to hopefully strike some inspiration within you to change. And there's a change over the last few decades, of course, but to me it feels quite glacial. And there's a lot of work to undo and a lot of work to do to recuperate from the consequences of what we've gone through. And what you can do, the bar is very low. Because the truth is people aren't really trying for the most part. There are so many different things that you can do that will make someone else's day so much lighter, so much easier, that don't have to require money or great levels of gesture. The first thing I would ask you to think about is, if anything that I've said has struck true or has offended you, think about why that's the case, introspect a little bit, and question the kind of world in which you're existing. If this didn't feel uncomfortable for you, then either you're good or you're really, really bad. All right. The second thing you can think about doing is maybe looking around you and seeing the people you spend your time with. Do they all look like you? Are they all men? Are they all white? Are they all whatever? Maybe introduce some diversity into your own spaces. All right. Invite a friend in instead of always being gatekeepers and keeping people out. And this is not in relation to white people, it's in relation to whiteness, which are two different things that black people can exist and imbue as well. Also have accountability systems. So be accountable to yourself and be accountable for other people. As a man, I'm in spaces where a lot of men exist together, and I'm always having to police men saying fucked up shit about women, for example. It's hard work, but someone has to do it. You can be that someone as well. And advocate for people who've got a smaller voice than yours. By small, I mean a non-white voice. The realities of in this city, in this province, and in this country, a white voice means so much more. And that's the truth of it. And finally, I'll say, think about non-whiteness as not as a monolith. So don't think about black people or Africans or people of color as one idea. Get to know people, get to learn people's names, struggle through the pronunciation, but bother to check the spelling. Ask about their tribal foods, connect with people. Don't just say, oh, you're African, oh, that's interesting. What's it like? Do you know someone from Kenya? You know? She's laughing because she knows what I'm talking about. And then finally, again, the bar is very low. Don't be an asshole. Let's try and embrace each other and change this country and move forward together and not pretend that we don't have this history. Thank you.